What's up, everyone? Welcome. I've got Rhett Shull here. If you don't know Rhett, you should. I know everybody knows you.
Yeah, I know.
Rhett just put out a new video that we just watched. It's his best video that he's done. It's amazing. I wish I made videos that good. It's hilarious, even though Rhett never laughs. He laughs here,
I know,
but he never laughs in his video. I said, how come you don't ever laugh in your videos? But he's got a very dry sense of humor.
And it's hard when you got a camera on you, man.
That's true.
To be who you truly are is really difficult, you know.
He pulled up to the Starbucks drive-thru. I don't mean to give anything away, to get coffee in his video, and the person in front of him didn't pay, and the woman was kind of freaking out. Like, Rhett was like, what's going on?
I've never had that happen before in my life.
What's going on?
And the one time it happened is when I have a camera strapped into my passenger seat, and this guy in front of me drove off without paying. So
there you go.
I almost offered to pay, but then I was like, why? I'm not going to do that.
Got your Starbucks, got your almonds, Ray? There you go. You're ready to go. That sounds like a plan. What's his channel name? I'll tell you. See, I can put it right in here, Rhett. Rhett, you tell him what it is.
So if you just search my name, Rhett Shull.
Right there.
On
is that
YouTube.
that is
yeah,
what
or
it is, right?
Shull07. Yeah, it should come up. I think I changed it from Shull07, but for
Rhett
some
was
reason-
born in 2007, so he's got a beard and it's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah,
but
I'm what, 11?
he's 11.
I'm 11.
He's a little bit older than Dylan.
It is my birthday this week, though.
27?
28.
28.
On
Holy
Thursday,
smokes.
On the 1st.
My God. Insane.
So, if anybody wants to send me some records or, whatever, Rick can tell you how to get in touch.
Rhett's wearing, he got the
I got the uniform on.
he got the memo.
If I take this off, we're going to be matching.
Yeah,
So I'm
no,
not
you
gonna-
can't
I'm
do
not
that.
gonna
Even though it's kind of warm in here, should I crank up the AC a little more?
Oh,
I think I'm going to. Rhett, you can talk for a second. Hold on.
So I think tonight what I want to do is, thanks Magnus, I want to interview Rick. You guys know, if you're on the stream a lot, which I see a lot of you guys on these streams pretty much every night. But I've known Rick for a long time. I've known him for a little over 5 years. And so I've got some backstories and insights and stuff that he's not shared before. So I want to kind of do an interview style thing with him from my perspective. He doesn't know about this, but I do not have perfect pitch. I actually don't even have. I guess I got an okay ear, but
Yeah, perfectly fine here,
can
Rhett.
barely hear me. Maybe I need to get closer. Dean, what's the content of my channel?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
I have this conversation with Rhett every other day. What's the content of your channel, Rhett?
I don't know what the content. I think I'm figuring it out. I think I finally found my stride. I'm doing kind of more storytelling based content from a musician's perspective. So if you don't know, I'm a working full-time musician. I tour with a band out of Nashville and do session work. I was in a session this morning here in Atlanta, and I write and record and have worked for Rick for a long time here in the studio. So I have a perspective on music and the musical world that I think not a lot of people are sharing on YouTube. So
Rhett began here and pretty much became a session guitar player. He was working in a band. He came here 5-6 years ago, long time ago, maybe longer than that. I don't even remember now.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with Rhett's family and his wife. His wife taught my kids how to swim, and she puts up with us all. So Rhett's dad is a dear friend, and they said we look kind of are related or something. So yeah, his dad has white hair. That's about it. Both Rhett, when I stand with Rhett and his dad, they're about this much taller than me. I always feel like a
yeah. Well, and I'm going gray too already, 28. So I'll look like him by 35 probably.
man.
So, which is cool with me. I think it's good look. Makes you look smarter. Has Rick had any influence on my beard game?
Tell him the truth, Rhett. What I always tell you.
He thinks I need to. He thinks if I shave the beard, if I trim the beard, I would get more subscribers.
Freaks people out.
But if you've never seen what his beard looked like, what was that? 2 years ago now? 3 years?
No,
When did you shave?
that's like 5 years ago.
No. You've had it more recently since.
No.
Yeah. No, you trust me.
Layla was 1 when I had it, and Layla's going to be 5, so it's 4 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
It's been more recent than that, I promise.
No, it hasn't been.
But when he had it, it was, down to here. It was a substantial beard.
People would have freaked out if you saw. I don't know if anyone would have subscribed to my channel ever if they saw it. You guys think Rhett and the beard go well together?
Yeah, my wife does too.
Okay, let's take a vote on this. Let's take a vote on Rhett's. Who would win in one-on-one hoops? Oh, that's a good question. I'm pretty out of shape right now.
Yeah.
But
Don't
Rick,
do
pull
that.
I know I'm not gonna pull on Rhett's beard. No, Rhett used to have a small beard.
Yeah.
And it looked kind of I thought it looked cool there, and but now he's going for the.
Yep, there you go, Jimmy. Happy wife, happy life. So, yeah. So I'm gonna interview Rick.
Nari shorter. Nari said shorter. Wow.
All right.
That's 1 vote. That's 2 votes now. Beard works.
Let's see here.
You have a question. Was Rick really in Jacob's studio in '95? Jacob who? What are they talking about? I was there
Rick
recording
is
with my
taller.
band.
Does Red
Wait.
Light Gone with the Wind?
Jacob's studio. You talking about Jacob's in London? Or outside of London in Farnham? Sonny, is that what you're talking about? Because I was in Farnham. I was at Jacob's studio in England. Yes, I was there.
Wow.
I was there. Man, that was a long time ago.
Thanks, Claro.
How do you like that? How did you remember? Double K. All you can say is I shouldn't grow my beard back. Man.
Icy.
Put you in a
vibes
timeout, my friend.
from Double K over here.
Crazy stuff, Sonny. You remember? Did you? How did you know that? Back in '05, I did. I worked with a band there called. I'm trying to think what they were called at the time. They ended up being called OK Tokyo. And
That's actually a great band name.
yeah, and they were a great band. And the singer's name was Sam Tattersall, his dear friend. All the guys in the band are great guys. That was a fun time. It was about 90 degrees in London that summer. So hot, couldn't believe it. The ECM spies are onto me. I know it's ridiculous. John Fryer was with us. Look at that. That's crazy, man.
Wow.
That's very rare. How did you recognize me? I was a lot younger then. Sam is a great name. That's your other name. Sam's the name of our cat. Samantha, actually, though. Okay, so Rhett.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here?
All right. Well, I have a few questions. So first thing I want to start off with is I want you to talk a little bit about how you made the transition from playing full time as basically doing what I've been doing, touring as a guitar player in a band, writing music and all this stuff, to producing bands and making that your living for, what was it, 17 years or something like that?
From 99 till last year, so.
18 years?
Yeah, 18 years.
Yeah.
I mean, full time. I started really in the mid 90s, but just doing a project here and there. How did I do it? I started originally in '95 with a band called the Tender Idols here in town. My friend Danny, who was playing in the band, along with Dave Cobb, who was I don't know if he won Grammy for Producer of the Year or something.
He won several Grammys. He's killing it in Nashville.
He was so Dave was in the band, first band ever produced. So I went to Danny's mom's basement. He called me up. He says, "Hey, this is before cell phones, 1995." He says, "Hey, come on over here and can you help us with our songs, or help us with this one song?" So I came over and he had the singer Ian, English singer, and I sat there with him. They're working on ADATs, and I said, yeah, man, I wouldn't sing that melody. I think this would be a better verse melody. Once you do this here and once you do that here, I was looking at the lyric sheet. And then he sang, and he's like, oh, that's a way better melody. And I did that a couple times, just went through the whole song, and I said, I would do this there too. And I wouldn't play that, I would play this. And then they asked me to produce the record, so that's how I started. But I went full time when Billionaire, we put our record out, and our record label got bought out by Universal, good old UMG, and we got dropped in the fall of. Well, I started after we finished making our horrible record, and then I know my lawyer at the time, Reed. He wasn't really my lawyer. He was a really good friend of mine. He's my lawyer now. But Reed said to me, he asked me, what are you going to do in between the time that we made our record and the time that our record came out? We had a few months break, and I had no work, and we'd spent all of our money. And then he asked me, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. He says, I have a band I want you to produce. I said, produce bands? I said, you can't make any money producing bands. I mean, I needed to make money. He says, go check out this band. Tell them that I said that they need a better demo. And so I called the band up. I listened to their demo. I called them up, and I said, Reed tells me that, told me to tell you guys you need a better demo. And that's how I got started.
So it wasn't like a conscious decision that you made to go, I'm going to start producing music now.
It was just like my YouTube channel.
Well, yeah, except, okay. I
mean, it's exactly like that. Yeah. So I did that project, the first project there. I mean, I'd done a couple other ones, like I said, 95, 97, a couple things with Tender Idols, another thing with another band. But I started that. One of the songs got an American Pie 2 soundtrack. I ended up making really good money on that because that sold 1 million records. And my cut of my producer royalty, it sold over 1 million records, a couple million records. I think I made probably $40,000 on my first project, something like that.
Which is insane.
Yeah, which I got paid. I charged the band when I first started producing $150 a day.
That was your producer fee.
My producer fee, and we did 2 days, $300.
It had gone up substantially since then.
So
I worked with him as a producer.
So I did that. It came out great. Then Leslie Fram, who was running the program director from the local alternative station, Leslie Fram, who's now the head programmer at CMT, who's a really, really good friend of mine. She and her husband Lanny. Leslie hooked me up with tons of gigs. She would say, with any band in town here, she'd say, oh, you need to work with Rick Beato. I mean, she got me tons of projects. Her and my lawyer Reed got me all these projects in the first year. I never stopped working, ever.
So what I'm hearing is if you're giving advice to somebody who's trying to make a living, not just in music, but kind of in any creative field, would you say that the most important things that you can have are the ability to network and get to know people and maintain connections? I mean, obviously you need your skill set, but past that, you can't just wait.
No, networking is everything. By the time I had produced for about 2 years, I knew every manager for every band on the Eastern Seaboard, pretty much. I worked with bands from I worked with, I worked with bands from England within the first couple of years. I was producing I would go to England once a year and produce a band. I produced bands out in LA. I had just project after project after project. That's all I did. I'd work 6 days a week. And we used to work insane hours back then with Ken. We would start at 10:30 in the morning and work until midnight every night. That's all we did.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, no kids, no marriage, nothing. It was just work. Just crazy hours.
So when do you think, well, to set up this other question, so do you think it's possible to make that kind of living nowadays as a producer? Do you think you could take the same path now that you took back in '99?
Me? No.
If you were starting over?
No, because I don't. And I'm too old. I'm not too old to do the work. I'm just too old to care about.
But if you were the same age, so if you just fast forwarded,
If I was 37.
yeah, if you're 37 now and you started over,
Well,
what's it-
so if I was 37 starting from scratch, where I didn't know how to engineer or anything, because that's how I started. Um, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
So when do you think you started to notice the music industry changing drastically?
2006.
And what was it that made you realize
When people started, A&R people started to not hire people that didn't have. If you didn't have 10 platinum albums, you never got a gig after 2006.
that? Right. Wow.
There were no major label records, and the only records I would get are bands that I developed from scratch.
Right.
So, which I did tons of. I mean, I had so many bands that I did from scratch. Joe Jeffries just says the music industry has changed too much. It has. I mean, there's no comparison. Double K Rick, what advice would you give Rick Beato today to the 37-year-old Rick Beato? I don't know, because I pretty much have the same philosophy that you can do anything if you work hard enough. So I'm not sure that I would give any different advice on anything. I never sit back and say, man, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. My mom used to say, because I'd sit in my kitchen, in my parents' kitchen in the summertime, Mom, I got nobody to play with. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. My mom would look at me and say, don't wish your life away. Do something. Okay, Mom.
Yeah. That's
Stop bothering me. I'm gonna call your aunt. She can take you.
Oh man.
Would I have gone into producing? Um, would I have gone into producing? I don't know. It's hard to say because the music business is so different now. So it's really you can't compare it. Rick, how long did I know Rhett? How long did you know me before you heard the name Iden?
Literally, I was thinking about that, Brett, when you asked that question. I remember the day I met Rick was here in the studio. We walked into the lounge room back there. It was the first day of production on the record with the band I was working with. And, walked back there, and you were sitting. Actually, I think it was this keyboard that you had back here. Is it the Kurzweil? What is this?
No, there's a Kurzweil in the back.
Okay, yeah. So he's at this Kurzweil, and I was, 22 at the time, fresh out of music school, didn't know anything about the music industry or business. First time ever being in a recording studio. And Rick sits us all down and basically grilled us on classical music and modern jazz and harmony. And that's the first time I heard Iden, was like knowing Rick after about 5 minutes.
Now that's actually rare, because I never talked about jazz or classical music for the 20 years before that ever.
Yeah.
Not once.
He was just grilling us on
Dylan
stuff.
was a baby, right?
It was
Yes.
right. Literally, Layla had been born a week before that.
See, that changed my life when the kids were born. When Dylan was born and I was playing him this music, that's when I rediscovered Iden's music. That's when I rediscovered jazz and classical music again. I literally rediscovered it. So that's kind of why I was in that headspace. But I never mentioned, if you ask the guys in my band if they ever heard of Iden, they've never heard of him. I'd never mentioned him once in 5 years of being in my band Billionaire. They wouldn't know who that was.
Yeah. So about 5 minutes to answer your question. So with the kids, with Dylan and Lennon and Layla.
Yep.
Where do you think their musical... Where do you think they're going to go with music in the future? Do you see them, do you see Dylan as a player? Do you see him sticking around? Do you see him trying to make a career in music, following what their dad did?
Not at all. Well, you never know. It's hard to say. I mean, if you asked me, I was into sports when I was Dylan's age. I wasn't interested in music at all. So, you never know what kids are going to do. Uh, do I think that the oboe is going to be something that he's going to be really passionate about? Probably not, but you never know. Is he going to? I don't see Dylan being in music at all. I don't know why. I just. Uh, it's hard to tell how the kids change when they become teenagers. So it's too early to tell. Double K said that. You never know what Thomas Newman, who's one of my favorite film composers. His dad was the biggest movie composer at the time, Alfred Newman, and he said he took piano lessons when he was a kid, but he wasn't interested in music at all. He played baseball, and then his dad died when he was 14, and that changed his life. So Elliot, he might switch to bassoon. He wanted to play bassoon. I wouldn't let him because I didn't want to lug the thing around. He actually did. Ray, if Start the Rebellion is Ray. If you could, would you rather have billionaire make it big, rather have a jazz career like Matheny? Neither. I'd rather do just what I'm doing right now. How do you like that?
Yeah, that's what's really cool about YouTube, about the internet in general. I mean, you can make, and Rick is a great example of this, you can essentially have a career switch, and start over and build a really great career and a really great legacy that I think is equivalent to, or even in some cases greater than, your legacy as a producer.
I have no legacy as a producer.
I wouldn't say that. I would not say that.
I would, but that's okay.
I wouldn't, I mean, I was just on the rock boat with Need to Breathe, and I would say that band wouldn't be where they are today without you, So, but to me, that's what's super cool about this, and watching, I think I talked about this in my live stream the other night, watching your channel grow, because I saw it when you had 220 something subscribers, right? Like when we did the channel trailer, which I think is still up there, right? You had
still the channel trailer.
Yeah, you had
just hit 100,000 views.
Yeah, you had 200 something subscribers, and we talk about this all the time. Like, I thought it would be successful because of Rick and his knowledge base, and there was nobody else on YouTube doing what he's doing. But I did not think it would get to this level this quickly. So that's really cool. It's really inspiring.
I'm shocked every day when people watch things. It's pretty remarkable, I think.
It's very remarkable. Very remarkable.
I was did I tell this story the other night? I don't remember. I was in Guitar Center the other day, and and I'm waiting in line to buy a couple cables. I probably told this story. I'm waiting in line to buy a couple cables, and I was telling my brother the story after. I said I got a couple patch cables, and there's some guy trying to sell a bass, guy a few years older than me. And the guy behind the counter is like, "Do you mind if he goes ahead?" And because I only had a couple things, the guy says no, and the guy said, "You look a lot like this YouTuber Rick Beato. Have you ever heard of him?" I said, "Yeah, I know him. It's me." He said, "What? Well, I thought you looked like him, but I just thought, well, how could he live here?" Then I used my standard one that you got to live somewhere. So that was pretty hilarious, right? And then some other dude came running up to me, and he's like, "Man, I watch your channel all the time." I said, "Okay, cool." That's like down at Kroger. The guy came up to me one time last year when Dylan's video was big. The manager comes up to me at 1 a.m. when I'm down there buying milk. He's like, "I saw that video with you and your son. It's unbelievable. It's everywhere." The nighttime manager.
Oh man.
How about vacations, breaks? Well, when you have to do remote videos, could you take time off? You can't take time off. That's the thing. You can't take time off from YouTube, guys. That is a fact. if I don't put out videos for 3 or 4 days, my channel, everything goes down. It just does. I've got 421 videos or something, and you think people will go back and watch the old videos? I could probably I could look at the titles of my first 150 videos and remake them, and half the people would think they're all just new videos. I could put out the same videos. I mean, it's YouTube is something that you have to keep working on. You can make videos in advance, Tom says. I can't make videos in advance. I never, ever have had a video ready to go, ever. You got to work every day. Every day. Do a block of shows per weekend. No, I can't. It takes too long. It takes too long to... Riley says, Johnny Carson took days off. I'm not Johnny Carson. I wish I was Johnny Carson. Kinch, they should go back and watch him and study. Let's see, do something with it. Well, that's what I say, but you know.
Eli, I don't play piano, but I actually was on a session this morning and played keys on that session for the first time. So I can, and then for the stuff that I write on my videos, all the music that is in my videos I'll write. So I can get around on a keyboard, but I'm not a piano player.
Rick, let's ask you, when you're evaluating process as a producer, for instance, have you taken and share comments? Wait, I'd like to ask you, have you been evaluating your process as a producer? I don't produce anymore, so I don't really do that. Although somebody asked me about producing a record on the email a little bit ago. If you were pre-post older videos, what if you repost older videos and take days off? I don't know. I don't know. It's really weird. YouTube, the problem is that YouTube doesn't push stuff. If you change your algorithm at all, you guys know, I have no system of when I put out videos. I have no schedule. That's like the big thing. Everybody, Rhett's like, oh, you got to get on a schedule. Everybody tells me that. Yeah, you got to get on a schedule. I never had a schedule. When I looked at analytics a year into my channel, it says, when's the best time to upload a video? Well, since I upload videos as soon as they're done, there is never a time. My videos just show up randomly, right?
Right.
After I call Rhett and ask him, what do you think of this title?
All right, so let's continue this interview. What do you think about, kind of jumping off the interview I did of you last week for one of my videos, what do you think it takes to make a living in music today? Like someone who's thinking about getting into doing music full time, whether they be an instrumentalist or a producer or engineer, whatever, what does it take to make a real successful living today?
It's really a lot of the same things that it took 10 years ago. Diversity. You have to have incredibly diverse skill set. I build upon all the things, even though I don't do production now. I build upon all the production skills that I have. I build upon the ear training that I have. I build upon the music theory. My video making abilities is related to me being able to edit in Pro Tools. Everything is kind of built off these things. But, I can mix a record. I can track a record. I can write songs. I can play any part on any record. I can, make videos on almost any possible subject relating to music. So that's kind of I think that's the more diverse you are, the more you work, period.
And do you see it ever getting back to a place where it was maybe 20 years ago, where
No.
people can make a living just as a player?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, not a good living. Not a good living. You know, people became millionaires and producers became millionaires, rock producers in the 90s, in the 80s, in the early 2000s. I mean, Brendan O'Brien, multimillionaires. But no records sell anymore. So
Yeah.
there's no living to be made. I missed the window by 10 years of really being able to make a really good living. 42 revenue streams, Joe says. Somebody says, will I ever produce Trey again? No. Would I ever? No. He's talking about Trey Anastasio. Alex is asking, would I ever? Not for $1 million. Maybe for $1 million.
Desmond, what's the average pay instrumentalists get paid for gigs towards these days? I mean, it varies. It's always varied. You know, if you're playing in your original band and you're trying to pull out people at shows, you may see, $20 or $30. If you're on a big, I have friends that are touring with, massively successful commercial top 40 acts who are making probably $2,000 a week.
Yeah, with a big act, if you're touring with Sheryl Crow or Sting or someone like that, you make $3,000 a week. Yeah. Although, certain legacy acts, like James Taylor paid his guys, like Steve Gadd or whatever, he paid him $10,000 a week. Vinnie Colaiuta, $12,000 a week, or I think Sting paid him $12,000 a week or something like that. Surprising music is still a viable career. I wonder how much longer. No, music ed is definitely a viable career. I discount when I talk about this. I'm talking from my own point of view. I'm not saying that you can't make a living as a teacher. I've got plenty of. I have plenty of people that do that. $3,000 a week, but the problem is that people that get paid $3,000 a week. Some people are on retainer. People that play with big bands. Are on retainer, so they get the money anyways. But most of my friends that play with really big name acts, they'll get probably $2,000 to $3,000 a week, only when they're on tour.
And that's the thing about the hired gun gig is, you can be on a gig for years, and then something changes. The label wants a different band. The artist is going in a different direction. And you're comfortable making $2,000 to $3,000 a week. This happened with a friend of mine who's a drummer. He was in a really successful contemporary Christian band where he was making really great money. And he lived in Nashville, but because he was on tour all the time for like 5 years, he never made any connections or anything. And he ended up leaving the band for his own personal reasons and basically had to kind of start from scratch in Nashville, even though he'd been living there for like 7 years. So the hired gun thing is a pretty, it's always been a rocky way to make a living, but now more than ever, because those gigs are super hard to find. It used to be guys
because nobody sells any records.
Right. That's what it all boils down to.
Nobody sells records, so there's no money to do anything.
Right. So it's a lot harder to come off of one gig and jump onto another great touring gig. What are your thoughts on my musical future? Well, I've learned that you can't really have thoughts on your musical future because you never really know what your future is going to hold. I've had things that I thought were absolutely for sure things that were going to happen, like, oh man, this is going to take off, I'm going to be killing it, that didn't pan out.
And what did I always say, Rhett?
I don't know, you say a lot of things.
Never gonna happen.
Never gonna happen. But there's been things that I didn't even think were possible, the opportunities that I didn't even think were in the bag that have fallen into my lap and have been really cool. So I think that's the thing I've learned is don't try and predict or plan for what's gonna happen because you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Body knowledge. Write, compose, and get it in TV or movies somehow. So that's called sync licensing or writing for sync, SYNC. And That's a really good market to try and get into. Because if you think about it, everything that you watch, every commercial, every TV show, every movie, every video game, a lot of apps, there's music in everything nowadays. And there are people that write and produce and record that music and get paid very, very handsomely. You might not, next time you're watching TV, listen to the music in, a Tide commercial or a Ford commercial. And if it's not something you recognize, right, like if they haven't pulled some, I don't know, Luke Bryan track out or something.
Which they usually don't.
They usually don't. There's people that wrote that and recorded that and got paid really handsomely to put that out there. So
that's not fun work. I have friends that do that. That's and they all dread that, but
it's a good way to keep the lights on, man.
Yeah. I don't want to be saying that I think it's a function for me of people being my age that are sick of it. Whereas when you're young, it's really young, it's different.
Right.
It's different being 28 than it is being 55. You just have a different perspective.
Right.
And when Ken is in there, even the difference with Ken being in there recording the other day, and the guy is singing over and over and over, and I can barely hear it through the window, it still drives me insane. The couple sessions I've done, I mean, when we had those voiceovers that we did, or the singing,
yeah.
That stuff drove me nuts to sit there. It did. And I couldn't stay in the room. I just can't listen to it. So.
Yeah. Ronnie, it's actually not really, it's not really jingles anymore. I mean, that's still a thing. And the reason I'm talking about this is because this is something I'm starting to do now. It's really more of writing stuff that sounds like it could be on top 40 radio that's not. Because if a company or a commercial advertiser wants to use your song, they don't want to pay a record label obscene licensing fees to use some, track that they own the masters to. So you're basically miming stuff that sounds like it could be on top 40, but you're writing in a really vague manner. So the lyrics are really vague. In fact, there's a band right now based in Nashville. They're two writers based in Nashville called the Danger Twins that are really killing it right now with sync stuff. They had one of their songs got picked up for a Super Bowl ad. And if you go look them up, it's, very hip, top 40 sounding stuff, but lyrically it's so vague. It's, I'm gonna own it. We're gonna, do not be number one. It's that kind of stuff, and that's what these advertisers are looking for. They don't want something that's really pushing a message out that's gonna compete with, them trying to sell paper towels or whatever. So,
it's not that you can't make a living in music, though. I'm looking at things through the prism of music production, and music production is used to be where, there used to be bands that played with real instruments that would need producers that actually required people to be able to record with microphones and things like that, with multiple microphones, multiple instruments, things live, all that kind of stuff. Which is not really needed now because there's no guitar music out there, very little. There isn't country, but
even that's going away.
Even that's going away. So the people that are killing it in music are people that are producers that can write and play everything, that are great at programming, that can write hooks, and some people make a fortune still, It's just
it's changed.
But you got to be the best. That's the thing. That's the thing is not every, it's just like in YouTube, not every channel can do really well. It just can't, when I remember when I first started, I had about 2,000 subscribers, and Dotan from Piano Around the World wrote to me, and he said that he really loved my channel. He thought my channel would do really well. and he had, I don't know, 30 something thousand subscribers. I couldn't even think about that. I said, 30,000 subscribers? That's unbelievable. How could you ever do that? He said, I had a couple of big videos, and I've been making videos for a while, and then he was fascinated that I made my videos with no help. He said, you shoot and edit your own videos? I said, yeah, have you ever seen them? Like, what? That's surprising? Come on, man. But it's still, remarkable to me that just to see, hitting 250,000 is pretty. It's pretty amazing. I mean, it's I can see now getting 1 million subscribers, no problem. I'll get 1 million subscribers. I know that.
I'm definitely still in that looking at 30,000 phase. Like, oh my god, that's crazy.
They have projections that you can look at, and it says I'll hit. I think now it's about the 20th of, it's gone down. We talked about our thing, like to get 500,000. Now it's gone down to the 24th or something of August. It keeps going back because every day I keep getting more subscribers and my average is going up, or whatever you go, daily average. So touring bands here are barely break even. That's the problem. I think that it was an exciting time to be a musician in the 90s. I'll say that. It was really the early 90s was very exciting to be out playing in bands. There was no cell phones, there were no computers. You didn't have to worry about websites or anything. You'd stop at a gas station. You'd go check in with the club if you could get through to them. I'd love to see that happen again. Brett says he thinks a revolution's coming in music. I think you're right about that. I think you're right. I think that there's going to be, I think there will be a genre of music. There will be something. There's going to be some type of breakout.
Yeah.
There's going to be some type of breakout genre or scene, something like that.
I mean, this kind of thing has happened before, right? Like where music seemed to have been in a really low spot, just in general, and pop. I guess what would it be? The late 50s, before the rock revolution really kicked off. Music. A lot of people would consider music to have been in kind of a dull spot, and then you had the Stones and the Beatles and the British Invasion and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's happening even in some smaller. You look at bands like Alabama Shakes and Dawes. These bands are guitar-driven bands with killer playing and real instrumental music, and they have some radio hits, but then you go to see them live, and there's tens of thousands of people there. So music, it's still there. Guitar music is still there. It's not going anywhere.
No, and we're having some tremendous upheaval in our society here in America, which is always a good recipe for having some type of breakout musical revolution. It always was, anyways. So we'll see what happens. Do EDM promoters make money? I don't know how much promoters make. I've got a good friend of mine that's a promoter, one of my best friends. I'll get him in here some night. My friend Rich, he works for Live Nation. He can tell you all about how much people make. Eli, the reason music is on a downswing is because the sources of entertainment are so vast. Music is one tiny part of a massive menu. No records are selling, so not sure a revolution is possible. That doesn't mean that people can't create a revolution or a movement that's out of a certain city, or that still can happen. It can. Let's see here.
Is hip hop the future of American music? Actually, hip hop is even starting to see a downturn compared to a lot of the EDM and dance stuff. It really, for the past 15 years, has kind of ruled the charts, and it's now starting to waver a little bit. It's just the natural progression of things, man. It's a pendulum swinging back and forth. But even in that realm, I mean, you've got artists that are killing it, like Chance the Rapper and Kendrick Lamar. Those records are unbelievably good. And there's no guitars on that stuff, but they're still great pieces of art, in my opinion. So
People have real jobs and play music because of passion. Well, people should play music because of passion anyways, whether they have real jobs or not. I mean, ultimately, that's the reason I did it. If you ever watch my videos where I tell stories about me moving around the United States, living in different places, that's what I did for music. I believed I had a vision that I wanted to see happen, and it took me traveling all around the United States and going to England even to find a scene. I ended up here. What's up, Rob?
Joel Perez, augmented reality will bring in a new music revolution. I think that's actually that's a good point. Like, you think about AR and virtual reality and what that could do for music. I mean, you just look at what YouTube has done and the internet has done. A lot of it negative, but also a lot of it positive.
Yeah.
A lot of the artists that I play with have a career because of the internet and YouTube. So I think if you could have a way where people could pay a monthly service to basically go to VR shows, I mean, that would be amazing.
Renzo says kids aren't buying guitars or they want synths and DAWs. I think that's, kids would buy guitars. Look, people weren't buying drum sets until Ringo became big. All you need is for somebody to come out, somebody that is a singer that plays guitar incredibly well, and John Mayer basically did that.
Taylor Swift did that.
I'm talking about somebody that really plays the guitar.
No,
though.
I know that. What I'm talking about, like when I was teaching guitar lessons, at one time I had 40 students a week, and I would say about half those students were young girls that wanted to play acoustic. They wanted to play Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah, it's it's hard to count out any genre of music, whether it's got guitars. I talk about really esoteric music things on this channel, and there's an audience out there for that, apparently. So lots of Rick Beatos in the making every day. There you go. There's so much new TV series, you forgot the idea to follow them. Look at the revolution in television that's happened over the past 10 years. You think about shows like Breaking Bad. AMC was a nothing channel. And then they had Mad Men and Breaking Bad. And then all of a sudden, it became everybody wanted to be in TV that was in films. Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted to have these long developments of characters and things like that. So I think that who thought that there was going to be a revolution in TV that had been around for 50 years, Right.
Yeah.
Walking Dead, exactly. These shows, The Sopranos. It's the TV reinvented itself, just like music can reinvent itself.
Yeah.
So I reinvented myself. I try to reinvent myself every day if I can. I'm studying hard. I'm working on stuff all the time. TV is dead. The internet is taking over. Well, I wouldn't say TV's dead because Well, I watch. Actually, we don't have TV. You watch everything on the internet.
I mean, yeah, it's not.
That's the same thing.
Yeah,
What's
I
the
think
difference? There's
cable,
no difference.
Cable is
yeah.
is dying, and I'm okay with that personally.
Will we have AR and VR bands? I don't know.
It's hard to say, man. I mean, you can't really predict that kind of stuff. You just
Yeah.
kind of have to wait for it to happen, you know.
Um,
But I think it would be awesome.
Netflix and Amazon are putting Hollywood studios under pressure. That's right. It's true. It's great. I got no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I think that they should put pressure on it. You know, the best stuff should always rise to the top, and it does. I think it does. You inspire us older fellows. Look, if a 55-year-old guy with white hair can have a successful YouTube channel whose biggest demographic is 25 to 34, what does that say?
Anything's possible, man.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. So it's exciting. I mean, for me, this is unbelievable. This is the greatest thing I've ever done in music. Is my YouTube channel. There you go, Joe. Boom. Grandpa Beato, exactly. Getting a record deal is possible. It is possible. I mean, I know people that get record deals still. I'm like your dad. I know. I broke the mold. Yeah, cooler still. That's the thing is having experience, Andy, is I think that I think having the experience, when you've lived 55 years, you can learn a lot of stuff as long as you don't forget it. That's the key. Elliot, you aren't that old. Thank you, Elliot. I appreciate that. I don't feel old. I feel good. I feel good, but it's really it's just fascinating. I think everything that's that this format allows, I think, is amazing, and I'm really so glad that Rhett made me do it.
Here's what's so cool about YouTube, and for me personally, this is my favorite form of, I guess, consuming content, is because, like, what we're doing right now, this is the only thing out there really that is successful, that gives a content creator and the people who follow that content creator a direct connection. You don't get this even with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, and certainly not with cable, and certainly not with Hollywood movies. You know, this is the first time in history that people who can follow their, people that inspire them and that they learn from, and then have a direct conversation with them. I mean, that to me is really the magic behind YouTube.
You know, when Rhett told me about YouTube, he turned me on to Vsauce. And when I watched Vsauce and saw Vsauce makes these videos that are like TV shows, basically.
Yep.
But, I mean, they were amazing. I just couldn't stop watching them. And I said, wow, this is what goes on YouTube. And Rhett says, well, that's kind of the top echelon of people. But there's so many really interesting things here. And I mean, I watched YouTube just like anyone else, where anytime I wanted to learn something, if I wanted to figure out how to hook up how to disassemble my deck and rebuild it, I get on there. If I wanted to, anything you want to do, you get on there.
Yeah. And, it's what people want nowadays, which is what reality TV tried to be but failed miserably at, which is its real thing. I mean, you look at the whole vlogging revolution that has taken over in the past couple of years. The reason that's so big is because people like a real honest look into other people's lives. It's interesting, and people like stories. Like, we are a storytelling species, and so, YouTube gives you the ability to do that, and gives people that would not normally have an opportunity to tell stories.
When could you interact? Elliot, I feel the same way with you too. And it's great that we met, and the fact that I knew your dad. I mean, this is all, incredible, and it's because of YouTube. But where can you actually get on and interact with people instantly?
Yeah, no filter.
No filter.
Yeah, it's real, man.
You're talking to TVs. Brett says the future is we're going to be able to talk to TVs. We're there, exactly. And that is something that you can't, that can't be replicated anyway. It's, I mean, when I make my videos, those videos are made to be just watched and learned from. But the thing I love is coming on live, because to me that is incredibly interesting, and I love that. And I love connecting with you guys. Gary says, was it trial and error when you started doing YouTube videos on songs that get demonetized? Yes. Well, basically it was through this channel I tested things to see what would get taken down. I still am testing things to see what gets taken down. I took a chance, though. I didn't know if you got strikes. They don't tell you anything. And I said, okay, I'm not going to make any money through views anymore. I'm going to rely on people. Thank you, Peter. They're not static; they're dynamic. That's good. But you can't. But Peter, you can't. Just like we've spoken before, you can't talk and interact with people that you're watching at the same time. So it's kind of a different thing. It's a different thing, but I really, when it came to making these videos and getting them demonetized, I said, I'm not going to let what I want to do suffer because of money. So the Blue Notes were demonetized. ECM takes them down. Blue Note does not take your videos down. So I've experimented. I've used this channel to experiment on things when I play stuff. So, but we talked about this thing. I talked this with Adam Neely. Remember the whole thing with the whole thing where me and Adam made videos where I did my UMG rant, and then Adam did the same one, and we were trying to figure out what to do, and we couldn't, there's nothing we could do. So I just said, well, screw it. I'm just going to put the videos up and have them demonetized. I want to talk about what I want to talk about, and even if I don't make any money about it, because I don't want to make videos about things that I don't care about. I want to make videos about things that I care about, that I think other people can care about, and that people can learn from. And people can learn, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, unfortunately, you have to learn from the masters, and you have to learn you learn music from, well, like I did, from records, from listening to records. So, I still got to get around the ECM thing. I'm going to play bootlegs. Do
you have a favorite key we like playing? All of them.
No favorite keys.
All 14 of them.
15.
Oh, that's how many there are, right?
So I talked to Sinister Gates. For those of you that are Avenged Sevenfold fans, I talked to Sin earlier tonight. So I'm going to do What Makes This Song Great with an Avenged Sevenfold tune. But Sinister is going to be on the video with me, and he's going to talk about his solo. So that's going to be fun.
Oh, 30 keys.
30 keys, right.
What's something about Rick that you don't think the average person would know about him? I mean, I know a lot of stuff. It's just a question of whether or not he wants that information out on the internet. I don't know.
There's no politics.
Yeah, no politics. Oh, jeez. You know, God, now I'm on the spot and I can't think of anything.
Is Beato my last name? Yes, it's my last name.
Yeah. I don't know. I got to think about this for a second.
What's something the grocery store checkers know about Rick that viewers on YouTube don't know? I always go self-checkout, so
What's he like to work with? Great. Really tough to play for. So, you know, when we were doing a bunch of records here, I basically became the sort of de facto session player. And I don't know if you did that on purpose to try and, like, I don't know, prep me for more of my career music, but man, I now feel so calm walking into any recording session because I've played for Rick. With him, you get 2 takes. If you can't get it done, if you can't come up with an idea and execute it in 2 takes, you're done. Just
Get up.
Let me play it. And I got pretty good, man. Towards the end, you know,
towards the end, I could leave and go get something to eat.
He would leave. He just, all right, you know what to do. In fact, that's how I got the gig I'm on now with the band. Is I was the engineer on the record that they did, the Muddy Magnolias record, and I played on one song, and then that turned into me playing on all the songs pretty much, and then that turned into a gig, and so there you go.
Yeah.
If you can play for Rick, you can play for just about anybody, I feel like.
Well, I will disappear. My assistant Ken will be in there if Rhett's doing something on a project, and I'll walk back in unannounced and say, "Yo, what's up? You guys, what do you got?
Yeah.
You still working on that part?" And I freak out.
A lot of yelling.
A lot of yelling.
But I'm used to that, you know.
Do you think that people know how I am on here?
No.
Yes. On here?
On here?
Yeah, because I freak out all when I do my rants and everything.
It's a different freak out. It's a different. Let me just. It's a different freak out. I think your producer freakouts. He's like a bottle rocket, right? Where it's fast and quick, and then it's done. And my dad is like that too. So for me, that's why we work so well together. Because my dad was like that. You know, you just bam, blow up.
Dad's awesome.
My dad's awesome.
The best.
He was on here last night, actually. But yeah, I mean, I would. God, there's so many things that I screwed up when I was engineering here and working here that I got yelled at for. But it was never like it was never that big of a deal. You know?
2 takes Beato. I like that. No, but people, you would only have 2 takes if I stayed in the room. But sometimes my assistant can. But I would do this to kind of freak the bands out, though, so that they would be on their toes. And my assistant Ken would laugh. He'd just kind of snicker. I'd be like, "I'm out of here." I'd say, GL. That's Ken's nickname. I said, "Call me when these guys get their part down." And I'd go out and I'd go do something, and he's like, "All right, you can come back now." And then I come back and say, "Is this done finally? Let me hear it." What?
Yeah.
We are Sicilian. That's right, Peter.
Oh,
so the Beatles wouldn't record their album with Rick. No, they would be great. I'm actually, I can be really, I can be very calm about things too.
Yeah.
No question about it.
No, he's a great guy. The Beato isolator plug-in. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know if people are still. I guess people are still talking about that, but
okay.
How many people watch my Solfege video today? Anybody? Rhett, what's your biggest guitar influence?
Oh God. I love Derek Trucks. I love John Mayer as a guitar player and a songwriter. I love Robin Ford. When it comes to tone and feel, I think Robin Ford is my number one.
There you go.
Sure.
That's good.
I like Joe Pass a lot. Wes Montgomery, I like a lot. God, George Benson. I mean, it's just, you know, Gary Clark. Yes, and I met Gary a year ago at South by Southwest. He came to one of our shows, the Muddy Magnolias. He came to one of our shows that we played. He's like almost 7 feet tall, by the way. I don't know if people know that.
Is he that tall?
Yeah, I don't look up to many people. I'm 6'3", 6'4". Gary's tall.
Did not know that.
Yeah. But he was
Weird.
a super nice guy. Talked to him for a little while. So yeah, I really love Gary. I like what Gary is doing for modern blues music. He's doing it in a really authentic way, where it's paying homage to the past, but it's progressing and moving the genre forward in a really great way. Blake Mills, yes. Adam McBride. Blake Mills is unbelievable, and as a producer, he is unbelievable as well.
Has it been explained how Rick gets his multi-track stems? So this is funny. So do you guys know who Avenged Sevenfold is? Of course, you some of you must. Sinister Gates is a guitar player in the band, and a good friend of mine says to me, he says, "How do you get the tracks?" And he says, when I asked him about him doing an Avenged Sevenfold song, and he says, "Where do you get the tracks from, and what do they do about that?" He says, "How do you get how do you get the rights to it?" I said, "Don't worry, I've got some of your tracks already." He starts laughing. He's like, "You tell me what you want to do." I was like, "No problem, man. I got the tracks already." On the edge with Rick.
You better be very good if you're going to record with Rick.
Rick, I know you had Gary Husband on the show, but did you respect Level 42? I don't know if I listened to some Level 42, but not a lot of Level 42. If you have the Beato book, you get 3 takes. That's true. Nobody knew about the Beato book. No one had heard about it for 25 years, 30 years.
No, not only that, he would have bands that would come in, players would come in, and he'd show the Beato book to them, and people would beg him to get a copy of the Beato book. And like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving that away." And now it's all over the place. Did Rick influence your musical taste? Yes. He turned me on to a lot of jazz. I didn't grow up listening to jazz. My parents were not big jazz heads. I grew up listening to a lot of 70s and 80s funk music and classic rock. So yeah, he
If you have the Beato book, Ray, yes, you only need 1 take. Exactly. Okay, Elliot, we'll see you. Thanks, Elliot. Need to set up a member-only paid subscription STEMS access site. There you go. I'll leave them someplace and then just say, I'm going to stick these in this folder and walk away. About the ear training course, working on it. Today was a little teaser with my solfege video to tell you that I'm working on it. But the Beato book, new revised digital copy is just about done. Michelle was in today. I've got my new assistant, Carol, coming in next week. I'm going to have the compiled version. It's about 480 pages now, the new version. And it's probably going to take me, I'm hoping, only about 2 weeks to proofread it. I've proofread all the examples in the back of the book that I've rewritten from scratch, and got to proofread the text. So, Tom, you're looking for look for the Beato responding YouTube comments book. Oh man, I had some buttes. Anybody that if you want to really know me, just read my comments, and then you know me. People used to tell me, I had somebody write to me, some YouTuber one time, and he says, you really can't write comments like this. Is right when I first started my channel. He said, you really, just a little advice. I've had a channel and I had people, got really mad because I said stuff in the comments to people that was rude and I said, man, my son had 60 million views on Facebook. I've responded to comments forever, hundreds of thousands of them, and plenty of rude ones. So that's what I do.
He'll want to come on my channel and respond to comments that I get too. It's like
I will. I say to Rhett, can I respond to this? I want to respond to other people's comments and pretend I'm them. Do what you will. It's your channel. Exactly. It's my space.
My space.
Boom. Get out. Boom. Loser. That's right, John. Oh boy, I had some good ones though. I'm gonna make a compilation of my best insults from the comment section. I do it sometimes. I do it to troll people sometimes too. People that troll me, I troll them back. But I can be much more cutting. Swinging the band hammer. The band hammer.
That's good.
That is hilarious. The band hammer. I like that. Swinging the band hammer. Favorite fuzz pedal? Yes.
I know.
The tone machine. Fox tone machine. I'm going to type it in here.
God, you've got to pick one of those up. They're amazing.
Tone machine. They don't make them anymore, but
you can find them. They're around.
Fox tone machine. Best fuzz pedal there is.
And they're actually fuzzy on the outside.
They're literally fuzzy.
Yeah.
Alex, will you put me in a timeout? No, man. You love how relevant I am in today's culture. That's pretty hilarious. They're like $550. Is that that's true? They probably are.
Double K, I would gladly pay $550. I don't. He had one, so half the gear I own, I buy from Rick when he gets through with it. But that's the one thing that he had in the studio that he sold that I didn't get my hands on, and I'm still upset about it.
I sold it because, I told you that Dan Electro makes the French toast.
You need to get one of those
for $20 or $30. I told it on here. It's the same pedal. I have a fuzz face. I have every fuzz pedal. I love fuzz pedals. Is 45 too old to have a music career? No way. No, of course not.
Ray Klon is.
Listen, I got to tell you. So, my dear friend Peter Smart, who I talked to this weekend. I talk to Peter about once a week. We video chat. He's 87 years old. I have learned more from Peter. He gave me the suggestion about the Gibson video because he wrote me a month ago, you should really do a video on Gibson. Then he said, I've gotten so many ideas from him. It's unbelievable. And he's 87 years old. He's got, he's as hip as anybody that I know that's 25. So there you go. He has aesthetic aptitude. Peter Smart has aesthetic aptitude.
Aesthetic aptitude.
Yes. Okay. It says live stream resumed. Whoa. Okay, so we just had a crash.
I didn't do it.
And now we're back on, right?
Okay, yeah.
They boomed themselves. Okay, we're done for tonight. This has been amazing. You guys are the best. You're back. Okay.
Yep.
You have to kind of pause for a minute at the end.
Why is that?
Because it just stops. Okay, watch. I'm gonna stop the stream, everybody.
See you guys.